And welcome to DemoFactor South Edition, the most brutal radio-based, game show-esque format I think the world has ever seen. Now, if you're unaware of what a demo is, the Google definition of a demo is an informal term for a display or presentation that shows how something works, or a sample trial version of a product. And that kind of is what it is here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today we have 4 demos on display, 3 from Surge and 1 pesky one submitted from Nerve Radio. Getting a good demo heard by industry professionals is like getting your song on X Factor to judges' houses, bar the lucrative contract by Simon Cowell. Now, this is normally how DemoFactor goes. Students submit their demo in front of a panel of 5 judges. These judges buzz when they do not want to hear any more of the demo, and they give brutal feedback in front of a live studio audience. And going back to the judges' house analogy, we have 2 amazing panelists here to give valuable feedback to our student radio presenters in order for them to improve their demo and hopefully, goodness me, get into the industry. So without further ado, you've heard enough from me. Let's get to our judges. He is the former station manager of Nerve Radio. He is our SRA South correspondent superstar, and he is also out in Gibraltar for BFBS Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Nerve Radio's Jacob Dyer.
Yes, this is so weird to me being a judge because, and I just want to say this and get this out there, I still have so much to learn myself. I'm very early into my career. I'm 23 years old and I learn every single day at work, and that is no lie. So please don't take what I'm saying as gospel. I was station manager for Nerve Radio. This time last year, I was still station manager of Nerve. The year before that, I was head of daytimes. Nerve Radio is in Bournemouth, for anyone that doesn't know. I now volunteer for the SRA as their South Regional Officer, and Surge is obviously part of the South region, hence why I'm here. And then also, my day job is, it's not a 9 to 5. It's 5 till 2. I am a radio presenter producer at BFBS, the Forces station. I'm currently on a detachment in Gibraltar, hosting a breakfast show out here. So basically, our listener is people and their families connected to the armed forces. So we connect, champion, inform, and entertain our serving personnel. But anyone can listen. A lot of people think it's just available for the army. Anyone can listen. But yeah, I'm based on their Gibraltar station. Before that, I am going back to, I was based at their station in Brize Norton in Oxfordshire in the UK. So the show went out across Oxfordshire. I've also done some cover on some of their other UK stations, BFBS Blandford, BFBS Salisbury Plain. Done the odd bit of network cover, which goes out live right around the Forces world. So broadcasting in countries like Canada, Germany, Brunei. It's very exciting. And also on our spin-off station, BFBS Beats as well. And I've done some really cool stuff since being at BFBS. I've been there 9-10 months now. Every day I walk in, I feel like I've won the lottery. I love it. I've interviewed some amazing people from the military. I just love it. I interviewed Leanne from Little Mix as well.
No.
Yeah.
You know it, or Little Mix.
Yeah. So that's a bit about me, what I do. But I'm very much new to the industry. But it's all I've ever wanted to do. And I'm so grateful to be able to do it as a job.
Jacob, you've done DemoFactor yourself. You've done the physical 5 panelists live in front of an audience, actual real thing in DemoFactor. Can you kind of describe the experience of it as well?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But so educational. I don't think I'd ever learned so much so quickly. I got my demo played out in 2024. Get my years right, 2024 in Leeds. I got feedback there, which was really, really great because I was doing my thing at Nerve Radio, but I never really knew kind of what other student stations were doing. So getting feedback, hearing my peers of the station's demos, that was such an educational experience. But yeah, absolutely terrifying having my demo played out. I didn't get golden buzzed. I got a red buzzer on the 59th second, the last second. Still not over it, still a bit bitter. But yeah, I learned so much in the process. And then this year at SRACon, I was one of the industry one-to-ones for DemoFactor. So I got to listen to quite a few demos in that process, which was which was brilliant and so surreal to be given that opportunity to give back, because literally a year prior I was getting the advice from the industry. So really cool, just starting out in my career, and I couldn't be happier. I'm loving it, living the dream.
And our second judge is a big one here. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the founder of North Media Talent. He's an advisor to the SRA. He's the executive producer of the Audio Academy. And this man, I've never seen so many students claw around to him during our speed networking event in the SRA conference in Salford. Ladies and gentlemen, he is so... he's not afraid of anything. He'll get a log burner installed during a prime heatwave in England. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Surge Radio, Chris North.
Thank you very much. Very kind. It's nice to be here.
So if you could just want to describe to the two people who may not know who you are, Chris, can you just kind of give us a rundown of what you do?
My normal job is that I'm an agent. That means I look after radio presenters primarily, get them work, keep them in work, act as their therapist. And that's my main job. So I've done that for a long, long time. I've done that for the majority of time of my career. Since I left student radio. So, and before that, I worked for the Radio Academy, as it was then, to do training events. My life has come full circle. So I did student radio, did SRA, exec. I went into the world of work. Then I ended up at the Academy, and then did this job. Left that company, set up on my own. And along the way, you know, I've worked with lots of brilliant people. Like I discovered this lad called Greg James in student radio, and was his agent, and was able to get him on a radio station that he's still on, and another guy called Jordan North used to stay in my apartment or in my flat at Christmas time, because he had nowhere else to stay when he used to come to do the cover shows, people like that. So I've always had a huge investment in student radio, because it gave me my opportunity in my career, starting life at the Montford at Demon FM. And then now my agenting job also ties into the Academy again, and the Audio Academy as it is now. And I do foot in the door events, training events around the UK, and get people into the media industry in its widest sense, opportunities of vocational stuff. I'm very pleased and honoured to be an advisor to the SRA, but also I've been doing DemoFactor for far too long. And DemoFactor was an idea that we had, which was at the University of Bath, SRA Con, where it was just going to be some demos on cassette or CD. So there was CD at that point. It was CD, and it was demo idle for an afternoon. And then so I literally, like on Westlife Stools, there's 5 of us, and we'd put a CD on, and then we would just stop it and say, right, we thought of it. The students seemed to like that. Following year, we did it in a slightly bigger scale in Leeds, and it became DemoFactor, and it's rolled on since then in its various guises. And I've been the sort of head judge from the start. Loads of brilliant people have been judges, including Greg and Jordan. But it's nice because the whole concept of DemoFactor isn't about being the best presenter in the world. It's about people hearing each other, knowing the standard of what they're all about, what student radio's standard is with their peers. And also, if you've just started doing student radio, why on earth would you know what a demo is? Nobody does. So it's about that, but it's that sort of boring session you'd have at a conference, but done in a slightly more dramatic way. But we have found some brilliant presenters and producers and station managers and execs from DemoFactor. So I'm very, very proud of it. It takes a lot of people to make it happen, but it's an honour to do it. And thank you for asking me to do it here.
Oh, too kind, Chris. But also, you are the expert. So for some advice for our budding presenters, what makes a good demo?
On a sort of straightforward approach is your best version of you. And that's an awful thing to say because nobody understands what that means. But what it means is it's a demonstration of your best work, if you were to give it its full title. So whatever that bit is, whether that's that first 30 seconds of your interview, first 30 seconds of your varsity commentary, or your first 30 seconds of your breakfast show, or whatever it is, it's about you delivering a bit of radio or audio that demonstrates the best skill sets that you have. In the same way as if you went into a party and you want to impress, it's that first bit of impact. So that's what's really important. The rest of after the 30 seconds to a minute, we've sort of got a gauge of where you are with your tone or your style, or your personality. But just don't try and be anybody else. Just try and it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be right for a specific radio station. That's not the point. It's about getting better. It's like writing your first essay and then writing it the 10th time. You know, you get better each time you write something. So, but having the balls to actually put a demo together in the first place, I think, is a huge thing. I remember me doing a demo, sitting at a conference when I was a student, and the guy who I bumped into actually at a conference not long ago, I still have that fear. And I remember sitting with him, and he said to me, played it out in front of me, and he went, "You're just going to work in management, aren't you?" That was his response. But the point is, he was right. It's about also learning from other people. That's what the DemoFactor thing's about, learning from other people. But for you to put down what you think is your best bits of audio is a lesson of discipline, and it's a brilliant thing. So other people should listen to it. You shouldn't be shy about playing it to other people and saying, is this good, or have I done better? But yeah, first 30 seconds is the most important thing, because if the phone rings and I've listened to it and it's not caught my attention, I will move on to the next thing I was doing and forget what I was listening to. If beyond that 30 seconds something has happened, and that 1 minute something has been like, oh, there's something in that, I will go, what was I doing before that call? Oh, I know what I was doing. I'll go back to that demo. And that's what you have to think of it as, you know, whether you're on a train or whether I'm, you know, at home at the weekend, or if I've got, you know, on holiday or whatever, and I've got things, oh, I know, I'll listen to that stuff. But it needs to drag you into it, like you do with the radio. If you don't like radio, you tend to just switch it off. It's an instant response. So you think of your demo in the same way.
Oh, well, lovely. I think we should just get straight into it. So this is going to be the way it's going to work. Is we're going to have 4 demos submitted, pretty much an exam stress. We have 3 from Surge and 1 pesky one from Nerve Radio. And the way we're going to work, it's going to be kind of like a bracket factor. I see Jacob celebrating that with Nerve Radio there. Essentially, it'll be a knockout competition with 2 semi-finals and a final, but I say let's go to it. Our first demo is from Search Radio's finest, Rohan.
The following songs are not a commentary on the political landscape of America, the blinding of the masses through censorship, or a critique of the upper echelons, nor is it an evaluation of the aptitude of leadership of any political figure that may spring to mind, or the pitfalls of late-stage capitalism. Looking at you, System of a Down. That being said, here's our first song, Revolution by Pennywise. That was Less Than Jake with a History of Boring Town, going out to all those graduating this year. Now another one for the small town heroes. This is my absolute favourite song. This is Can't Kick Up the Roots by Neck Deep. When I walked into HMV and I saw the feeder, the singles on the end rack of the CDs, it did give me a bit of a shock when it said it's the first time it's been repressed. Repressed? Oh, that's awfully political for a HMV. But repressed and from feeder? Oh my word, who's repressing them? No, I'd completely misread it. They've just repressed the vinyl for the first time. And given that I'm not big on vinyl, that completely took me by surprise. Do you not think it's all the more aesthetic and all the more enjoyable to have your car eat a CD right before you pull away and then just blast your favourite tunes, windows down, driving around in the summer sunset? You can't do that with a vinyl. Can you have a record player on your passenger seat? No, I don't think so. And digital just takes all the personality out of it. Now, going back to the prime of pop punk and angst in the early 2000s, we have MXPX with My Life Story. This feels like a very teenage anthem kind of song. Growing up, nowhere to be, only on your own time.
As Rohan does a nice pop punk radio show here on Surge Radio Friday at 6 o'clock, I believe. Well, I'm going to let Rohan kind of sit in suspense. I know Chris North has got his pen and pad out, vigorously taking notes here. So we'll start off with Jacob and leave Rohan in suspense. Jacob, what's your impressions of a bit of pop punk?
I really enjoyed that. For me, a demo like that sums up why I love student radio and how brilliant it is, because you have so much freedom to do whatever you want within reason. So I think that is brilliant. And I could tell that Rohan was having fun on air, having fun experimenting. So that was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. For me, the standout link was the HMV link. I thought personally that was the strongest. Was he backhanding Feeder, or was he talking about the HMV after Feeder? Because I don't know what feeder sound like. Do you know?
I'm
Feeder?
going to be honest with you. No, I do not. I like Rohan. He's a very alternative show. It is something about pop punk. It's nothing I've never really heard of, to be honest with you. I'm presuming it's going to be after the feeder, but I'm not too sure myself, I'm afraid, Jacob.
Did you think it was after as well, Chris? Or did you think it was?
That's what I thought, yeah.
I think it should have been before, and I think it would have worked better, potentially, to big up the tune, because I was invested in the story, but I'd already kind of heard the song. So I personally would have done that before and kind of talked up the song that way. And I'm not huge on politics, so I thought potentially, was there too many political kind of jokes and references for a music show? Because initially when I was listening, I got confused as to what the style was. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really nice listen, and great to hear someone so enthusiastic about their show and the music they were playing. I believe they were passionate about what they played, and that can be a really hard sell sometimes to talk about the music you're playing. And he really enjoyed it, so I thought he nailed that. Yeah, good demo.
Well, I'm just going to say, Rohan, shout out to yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. It's brave enough entering, especially in front of these two absolutely amazing judges. But we're going to move on to Chris. Now, Chris, I saw you scribbling on your notepad quite a lot. What did you kind of think about that? Especially, I also want to know, what do you think of the first segment? Because I thought it was a bit brave. It was pretty short, going straight into a politics show.
It really was. I looked at the time, which I wouldn't normally get to notice, but in that first 20 seconds, there was a politics link. Then we were gear shifted quite quickly into music, which did slightly throw me. So I want to know whether Rohan what he sounds like doing one thing and not the other. As in, is he a politics presenter or is he a music presenter? It's very difficult to have those two things because his music passion is very strong. And clearly he knows, he's an intelligent person, so he knows his politics. So I think in a demo, it's either one thing or the other. Because there's, and of course, nobody's ever made a show, apart from in student radio, which has those two things, all those worlds colliding. So hats off to you on that one. And that's the whole point of student radio, as Jacob said. But I was really interested in what he was about to say, but then he rushed into the next thing. And I think that there's a lot going on. I would say, I agree, that it's a good demo, actually. There is some things that you could just work on to make it better. So the music passion, like I said, is there. So the HMV feeder, repressed, not repressed, CD versus vinyl. There's an opinion there. So you're an insight into his outlook on music and his outlook on the consumption of it and listening to it in the car and stuff. So there was painting of picture there, which was really, really good. But try and work on the pace, I would say. It was quite fast, so that it felt like there was lots of words going on and reading almost the link, as opposed to just having a natural form of sentencing. Nothing major to work on, really. It's just more about listening back and going, oh yeah, there's a lot going on in that link. But I really like the music stuff, but I'd also like to hear him do a politics thing and actually have invested, not his own personal opinion, but talk to people in a neutral capacity about what he does in that world as well. Remember, in the past, a demo is a demo of a demonstration of all the stuff you can do. If you were entering the Student Radio Awards, there's criteria there. That's a different thing entirely. So actually, you'd need to sort of separate some of that stuff out because it wouldn't fit the criteria. But Callum MacDonald, who's on Times Radio, who's also been a judge and a host of DemoFactor, he was the first presenter to win Best Male Presenter for being a politics presenter, not a music presenter, which he tried the year before to try and be a little bit Greg James, but he realised his world was politics and he won on that, and now he is a politics presenter. So be bold. But good work, Rohan.
Well, there we go. Rohan, well done to you. I would also make sure you do not go and talk about lacrosse too much on your broadcast because he's a very avid lacrosse player. Anyway, I think we will move on. Jacob, do you know a certain Lewis from Nerve Radio?
I do. Thank you, by the way, for inviting the other South stations to take part. That's really kind of you.
No.
So, yes, I know Lewis.
You now he submitted a demo bravely. I also say fair play and respect to him. Are you looking forward to hearing this? What do you kind of expect from Lewis?
I expect a bit weird, wacky, bonkers, but in a good way. So I'm looking forward to it. In fact, Chris, that is what you said after you heard his demo in Salford, not this year, the year before. there you use those exact words. So now it's a bit of an in thing whenever we hear Lewis. He's weird.
When you said that, though, I had a moment of flashback. That was like,
yes.
oh,
I'll tell you what his demo was, see if you remember it after we hear it.
Well, I think we've just picked it up so much. Lewis, you're on next.
You might be on the chaise long tomorrow listening to Records All Day because it is Record Store Day this Saturday. I think it's going to be more popular than ever because our generation's really getting into those old ways of listening to music. And the other day, I actually got my first ever cassette tape. It was of Mitski's Nothing's About to Happen, the new album, and I put it into the cassette player. And unfortunately, I did it the wrong way round, actually upside down. So it did this weird whirring, spluttery thing, and then it didn't play. So finally, by trial and error, I put it the right way round, and that lovely therapeutic crackle played in. And honestly, that album sounds amazing wherever you listen to it, but on cassette, there's just something extra about it. And it's gotten me in the mood to play some more Mitski for you. So I'm going to play for you a track from her last album, not Nothing's About to Happen, but the one before that. And this is Should Have Been Me from Laurel Hell. What a tune. Florence Welch, Calvin Harris, and Sweet Nothing. Sweet Nothing's meant to be something that's whispered in your ear as a show of affection. My housemate said something to me the other day that was quite the opposite. They said, because I read newspapers and books and listen to the radio and stuff, I'm the youngest 40-year-old man they've ever met. Well, I'm 22, so I thought I'd ask you what I should be doing to make myself more Gen Z. And thanks to everyone who replied on my Insta, my friend Justina said I should lock in more. Yeah, it's one of those phrases that just really grinds my gears. I'm not really sure why. Rory says, at least 7 hours a day of screen time. I think I do it. I think I've got that. And Sally says, TikTok dances. Not going to be doing that. But the best response was from my friend Ira. And she says, start using Queen and Mate all the time, wear a black hoodie and a vape, speak in TikTok memes, and listen to Taylor Swift songs. Well, I better go and get dressed.
I'll give this one to Lewis, to be fair. I stuck through a bit longer than my 90 seconds. Now, Jacob, I knew you said this was going to be slightly weird, but I didn't expect to go from, the kind of bit of a theme coming on here about vinyl and retro music. And I thought, this is not too bad. Next thing I know, I'm hearing about Taylor Swift vapes and TikTok dances. But, Jacob, is this what you kind of expected from Lewis here?
No, it's not.
Really?
So when he last did DemoFactor 2 years ago, his first link that I think a lot of people remembered was about a paper mache head. So this is very different from that. I actually felt like I was listening to the radio, not just student radio, with Lewis. I thought it was really, really good. I loved the way that it was topical. He referenced it being like the National Day or something straight away, or the World whatever day. I think that's really important on a radio show. And one thing I have learned is don't make your radio show a copy and paste. Every day have something in there that's relevant to that day. So little things like that, I think, can really elevate a show. So I've really enjoyed that. Loved how he talked up the song. I thought that was really, really good. In fact, the 2 demos we've heard so far have been very good at selling the artist that they play, which is excellent. That's what you want in a radio presenter. You want them to believe what they're saying. Did the first link go on a little bit too long? I really enjoyed it, and I really, really enjoyed it, but was it slightly too long for a demo? I'd say potentially yes, but I did enjoy it, and I'm not taking away from the link. And really good in the second link, really good at getting from the song into what you were talking about. I thought that transition was seamless. I really, really enjoyed that. Yeah, I should have kept going. I'll listen to more afterwards, because that was a fun listen. And his personality, he got his personality across as well with the music. I really enjoyed it.
I think that's the best compliment you can give him at the end of the day. I wanted to listen to more. In fact, I did listen to more than the 90 seconds I said I was going to. Chris, what do you think of TikTok dancers, vapes, and Taylor Swift?
I really liked that demo. I thought Lewis sounded very natural. himself. Personality was there. You know, it wasn't over the top, wasn't wacky, crazy, bonkers. That to me demonstrates the development of Lewis as a presenter, who's more who's being his genuine self. You know, there is humour in there. You can hear it in the observations he's making. So that's what I mean about finding your true voice. You know, I mean, what are you comfortable talking about, and what are your parameters? I thought the first link was really good. The cassette tape thing. We're covering off all the media, aren't we? That we see. If I do this long enough, everything will come back to putting CDs at the start. Don't I? I thought that was just a nice, again, just a nice observational link. Forced. It was just something, but it was to do with the music he was about to play, and so that set it up for that for Mitski. So it that went well. Being, you know, his online presence and what sort of person he's supposed to be, and the TikTok and the, you know, all the descriptions that he got through. He's obviously done his social media. He's made a connection to his audience. That's demonstrated as well. So I think that was pretty good, because he used the content back at the audience, and that was a really helpful thing. Not every link has to be a response from what the listener has said to you or what you've asked the listener to do. But it was worthwhile because it added to the content. It bolstered his story. So do you know what? I was thinking, if I was on the stage, would I have golden buzzed that? And I probably would have.
Whoa! Goodness me, I think that's the best compliment he could have got out of there.
Because there is scope to grow as the presenter, and there is ability to fine tune certain things and to become even better than that demo. So there is a skill set in that. He's obviously worked at that since the last 2 years, you know, to become aware of his parameters. So I was genuinely impressed, and I listened to 2 minutes of it, which is very unlike me. I have got an inbuilt clock, as Jacob will testify. Like, I will literally stop my automatic. No, that's enough. So yeah, well done, Lewis.
Oh, there we go. Well, I say we're halfway through now. What do we think of the standard so far? I think the bar's been set pretty high.
I think it is. I think it's good so far. I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. I'm loving the standard is getting higher and higher.
Well, we'll swiftly move on. Well, Chris, we know you've been into your management, you know, kind of era, running your own media agency. But let's take you back to your student radio days. What song is the way to your heart? Because we know you want in a demo. You know you want to show your passion. You know you want it to be the best, show the best of yourself. But what song is the way to Chris North's heart?
If it's a song that's going to trigger me into my student radio presenting days, it'll be "Brimful of Asher" by Corner Shop. And if it's not that, it's really random, and it's Josh Wink, "Higher State of Consciousness," which you would not put me and that track next to each other. But when you play it, you'll understand it was a big tune. On our station, we used it all the time as a bed, as much as anything else.
Wow!
So if you're making a demo for you, Chris, put those songs in.
If I honestly, I would listen. I would be like, right, keep going.
Oh, there we go.
If I find Josh Wink in a demo next time, I'll be well impressed.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's Josh Wink on Surge Radio.
yeah, exactly.
Well, that was Josh Wink and Higher State of Consciousness on Surge Radio. Now we're going to move on to back to a Surge Radio demo. Now this demo is sent in by Billy, who is our welfare sec. He's the only welfare sec who on a social will be down half a bottle of spiced rum during the night. So he's not really, he's an interesting fella, and I think you're going to kind of see it across this demo. Now I'm going to give you a spoiler. He broke number one rule of Surge Radio DemoFactor, which if I will edit it into this background here, number one rule was use a sodding bed, and he didn't do that here. So I'm quite disappointed in him, but we'll see where it goes. He's an interesting fella here, Billy here, so here is a demo from Billy.
Graham Coxon's single. It's called All Right. It's from the upcoming album Castle Park, going to be out on June 19th. Now, this song is really great. It's got the charm of Graham Coxon, the guitar and the bass, but it feels like a kind of Pastels-esque, jangly pop song, and I really love it. So I've got Dermot Henry with Little Rib. Now, this came out a little while ago, and I actually saw it live back in January. He played at a venue here in Southampton, and it was really incredible, and I'm glad that it's been released, it's been recorded, because this is one of my absolute favourite songs from him. The new track is from Nixie Nix, and it's What Do You Know About Hills Now. This is a band I like, but I've avoided playing them for a while because they are quite loud. I think some of their stuff borders on what you can call music rather than maybe just noise, but this song I think is a lot softer, and I enjoy it the most out of any of their songs.
My favourite part about that was that you spoke to your audience. You said, I don't know how far you got, Chris, but he was speaking to the people of Southampton and said, here in Southampton. So I love that. That was showing relatability to the audience. I thought that was really important. Theo likes beds. I disagree with that as a different point outside of this demo. So I don't mind presenters not using a bed at all.
I just thought a bed would have kind of just spiced it up. I do think I get it. I'm no means to judge. I don't really present student radio shows. I'm going to be honest with you, as Chris knows, I'm well behind the scenes. But I just felt the pace was a bit slow, Billy. I'm very sorry. But Chris, on to you.
I will be brief because I listened to my internal clock kicked in. So I got to 50 seconds. Because each link, passionate, yes, interested in his music, yes, but sounded the same. So each time he was doing a link, sounded the same. And so there needs to be some intonation there. There needs to be a bit more light and shade in the selling of tracks, because he's passionate about it. And if he was I don't think he needs a bed, because that would cause a lot of kerfuffle because of the type of music he's playing. But if that was sort of like a Radio 3 and Wine program, you'd be fine. He's got a great voice for that. And not everybody has to be wacky with, sort of Jack Saunders sort of shouting about their music that they love. And I love Jack dearly, but that's what Jack does, and not everybody has to do that. Steve Lamacq, who I represent, does it in a very different way. So it's about making sure that each link has something different in it, and that one didn't, unfortunately. But I think if he was to go away and think about that, he'd know what I meant.
But we're going to go on to last but not least, Matthew Bailey of Surge Radio. I love him. He makes a show called Songs for Your Walkman, a bit of 80s music, but he's also an all-round sound fella. Matthew, take the stage. Here you are.
Whitney Houston, Greatest Love of All. Did anyone else have to sing that song in primary school? Just me? Okay, you're listening to Surge Radio this Monday evening. Up next, Kylie Minogue and Locomotion. I do a segment called This Week in the 80s, where we run down the top 3 songs, funnily enough, this week in the 80s. Now, for this show, I've adapted it, and we're going to run down the number 1 this week in every year of the 80s, starting from 1980 up to 1989 as a special last hurrah segment. So, number 1 this week in 1980, the year we're starting on, is Johnny Logan, What's Another Year. This song was the Eurovision winner. Funnily enough, it's Eurovision week this week, and it's number 1 this week in 1980. Now, younger listeners of the show may recognise that song from the Horrible Histories cover done, I think, called The Highwayman, all about a highwayman called Dick Turpin. It's definitely worth a YouTube if you haven't seen it. During that song, I've received my first complaint I've had all year. My first complaint, and it's not for swearing on the radio, it's from my dear friend Costas, who says that we should have played the German version of Nicole a Little Piece. So I'd like to make my first and hopefully last ever apology on air to all my German listeners and my friend Costas.
Vibes on that for me. And Pick of the Pops is one of my favourite radio shows, so that instantly made me really enjoy it. I thought the facts about the songs were great. They were interesting. They weren't just boring generic facts. I thought there was a good amount of prep that went into those links. That was really, really good. Not sure it was the best link to start on. I got a flavour that they were a good presenter from that first link, but there was nothing particularly about them. So I wouldn't have started on that. I really enjoyed it. I liked the interaction link. I think you could have played on that a little bit more. Well, they could have played on that a little bit more, but the German link, I thought that was really, really strong, and I was chuckling. Yeah, I would have given more there. Really solid, good presentation. And like I said, it was clear they've done prep, but it wasn't obvious that they were scripted or anything like that. It just sounded well thought out, and I thought that was really, really good.
Chris, what did we think about a bit of Matt Bailey?
I agree, Matt. Well done. Your first link, that's not necessarily your best link, clearly, So think about that. But it was, you know what, there was power and there was sort of we got you straight away. But I think you probably have got other versions of that link. I like the fact it was themed. I like the fact, you know, you played Kylie's Locomotion randomly. Brilliant. But you didn't make it sound cheesy. You didn't make it sound like it was a parody of itself, which was good. You were just genuinely interested in the tracks. I think the link about the complaint, you know, was an interesting one. I lost you a little bit there, but you got a lot in 1 minute, which is also very interesting as well. Because all of a sudden I looked up and it was a minute, and we'd got a lot out of you as a personality. So I think it's a really strong demo, actually, and you just need to also work on a little bit more of lifting your energy. And I don't mean in a cheesy sort of upbeat way. I just mean sort of inject a little bit more. Maybe, like as they always say, you know, smile with your eyes when you're talking, because it will change the way that your intonation of the track appears. So, but yeah, it was really strong.
Well, I'm going to do it in the bracket format. Okay, so first 2 demos we had Rohan and we had Lewis. Out of those 2, who we put into the final?
I would say Lewis.
Oh, okay. Jacob, between you 2, Billy or Matt Bailey?
I'm going to say Matt.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Chris North, please add a bit of suspense to this, but the winner of DemoFactor South Edition between Lewis and Matt Bailey is
Lewis.
That's such a shame. It's a Nerve Radio presenter. That is not the one that I wanted. Oh well. Anyway,
Can I just say though, dear?
Go for it.
That was a really difficult decision. And it will give everybody something to talk about, though, won't it? But Matt, seriously, really, 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 really strong. Like literally brilliant demo. So well done, and I will certainly send me more stuff.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to thank Chris North for coming. We're also going to thank Jacob Dyer. You two, it's been an absolute pleasure to have, and I'm really thankful for you guys listening to our demos here we had here. Chris, thank you very much. I'll send you on your way, and Jacob, thank you very much as well. That has been everything for DemoFactor South Edition, and we'll get back to our Surge Radio 50th anniversary broadcast stream. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations. Take care. Bye-bye.